Could a Brazilian right back be coming in to replace Trent? Gomez is close to return. Could we see a first Joe Gomez goal before the end of the season? And also, Arne Slot has spoken about the supposed Nunez clause. People, it's Friday, almost the end of the week. Sit back, relax. It's the morning meetup show. Let's get into it.
Shout out to Kop-Ish.
Shout out to Kop-Ish, guys.
All the good work
the
up.
Two legends, Emil Heskey, Howard Gell. Can't get much better than that, guys. Yeah. You know what to do now. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm with legends, guys.
Kop-Ish.
Yes, lovely people. Hope you're well. Welcome to the morning meetup show. Yes, it's my day. It's my hold on. Big up to FamZone TV. Dean, if that's you, I watched the video that you released, the shorts on Chelsea winning the Conference League and talking about the bottom set in school. Bro, I haven't laughed like that in a good while, bro. Big up yourself, Dean, because that analogy was absolutely perfect. Honestly, absolutely perfect. So make sure, guys, you go and check out FamZone TV. Make sure you subscribe to their channel. Also, big up to everyone in the chat. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. It is me doing it today. Yay! Twice in a week, people. Yeah. Say what you want, people. The cow curse. Yep, it's true. Camavinga did get injured as well. Shout out to Lakers who made me aware of this. So yes, Lakers let me know that Camavinga is injured after I'd been speaking about him. Hassam and Tom aren't happy about it. But you can find out more about their opinions at 1 p.m. and we'll be going live with Hassam and Tom as well. People, how we doing, man? How we doing? Liam, I'm not a heel, bro. I actually try to be a nice guy. I don't get like why I'm getting this sort of stick. Yeah, it's just what big up big yards in the buildings. Scants. I knew the tomatoes were coming. Scants. I knew the tomatoes were coming. Look, I'm sorry. I know today's not Monday. I know it's not. It's Friday. Duh. But Drift can't do today, so I'm doing today. Like, what are we doing here? What you trying to banish me off the channel, guys? Are you really trying to do that? You trying to banish me off the channel, like completely off the channel? Like, what are we doing there? But now, all jokes aside, people, we've been linked with a new right back. Obviously, looks as though Trent will be moving on to Madrid. Call me delusional, call me stupid. I'm still hoping that he signs for Liverpool. And then also, we're going to speak about the whole Nunez situation, which broke this week, which Arne Slot closed down, and also Gomez. But I do want to start with Wesley from Flamengo. So I can't sit here and lie to you guys. I can't sit here and lie to you. I've never watched Wesley play. However, I think Gaz, Russell Stubbs, who's usually in the chat, a couple of other people as well. Okay, Mr. Battered. Big up Inaki Williams. Okay, I'm going to note that one down. Another black man that Callum looks like. Inaki Williams. Another black man that Cal looks like Inaki Williams. Okay, I see you. Right. Wesley, I'm hearing a lot of good things about him. I can't say I've ever seen him play. I'd be lying to you. I can't tell you what he's like playing style. I'd be lying to you, and I'm not going to lie to you. The fee is between 30 and 35 million euros. That's been projected by Flamengo. However, often Brazilian sides will, they will sell for less than that. I think that's the higher echelon of a price they're looking for. Not just that, I've heard a lot of comparisons to Cafu. Now, whenever I hear these comparisons, I do take them with a pinch of salt, because I remember when we were linked with Andre Trinard, who's now at Wolves, he was called the Brazilian Kante. We're still on later, Tom, bro. We're still on later. Yeah, he was called the Brazilian Kante. He's obviously come to the Premiership, and we've seen he's not the Brazilian Kante. Good footballer, but just not as great as what people are making out. There's a big gulf. In fact, no. There is a big gulf in between the Brazilian League and the Premier League. However, the playing styles have become a lot more similar. Nowhere near the same, but a lot more similar. So I don't think the adaptation period for Brazilian player is as bad as it probably would have been in yesteryear. That being said, if he runs like the metrics and the data really well, then I would expect us to be in for him. But whether we get him or not remains to be seen. If I'm not mistaken, Barcelona are looking at him and Van der Sar, and if I'm not mistaken, they're the two right backs for Brazil at the moment. Brazilians do have an affinity with Spanish teams and Portuguese teams, so that could be another potential difficulty in getting him. Now, again, you guys know my thoughts on the right back situation. I'd love for Trent to stay, but if he doesn't, I'd love to get Olaena or Spence. And I'll show you why. Because for me, it's about having that balance, and I think it's a lot to put on Conor Bradley personally. So what I've done is I've run some numbers. Shout out to Data MB Football. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and show you what I've come across in terms of comparisons and stats. So I'm hoping you guys can all see that. I'll make the screen slightly bigger, actually, just hopefully so it'll be a bit clearer for you guys. Just throw a 1 in the chat if it's clearer for you guys, please. Shout out to K-Mac in the chat as well. Big up yourself, K-Mac. Do you know that's the point as well? If Barca want a new center, I'll start again. If Barca want a new right back, maybe they sell Koundé. Again, Koundé is another right back I'd be very happy to get. That's a good shout from Luca. Add Porro stats as well. That's a good shout. I would do that. Porro. Pedro. No, not that one. Silly me. Porro. Okay, guys. So what I've got here, I've got Trent, Olaena, Jed Spence, Givorno Reed, and Pedro Porro. So in terms of minutes played, it's actually Olaena. So that kind of puts to bed the whole notion that because he's of a certain age that he can't handle playing for Liverpool. Not just that, he's not as injury prone as people have made out. He has had some injuries over his course of his career. But as you can see from this season, he's played more minutes than Trent has. Pedro Porro has also played more minutes than Trent. Jed Spence has played the least amount of minutes, and then Givorno Reed. In terms of age, obviously, Olaena is the oldest. Trent and Porro are just a year apart. Jed Spence is a year younger than both, a year younger than Porro, and then Givorno Reed is just 18 years old. Now, I'm going to bring up this graphic. So you can see all the different colors. So you've got duels, you've got defensive actions, you've got progressive passes, you've got expected assists, you've got cross percentage success, carrying the ball, and aerial duels and duels as well. In terms of crossing accuracy, Trent is one of the lowest, which is weird, very weird. Olaena is actually the lowest. Jed Spence is the highest, but when you look at the stats, it also shows that Jed Spence is crossing a lot less than the other guys as well. So Jed is picking his moments where you could argue Trent and maybe even Olaena are spamming a bit much. Expected assists, Trent ranks highest there. He's in the 97th percentile. Olaena ranks lowest. And then you've got Jed Spence, Givorno Reed and Pedro Porro identical. Progressive passes, Trent is the best right back in the world for that. No surprises there. Jed Spence and Olaena both rank quite low. Pedro Porro's high, and as you can see, Givorno Reed is mid-range. Defensive actions, though, is where things change over. And this is actually a surprise to me. I thought Olaena would have been higher here, but not a lot of players do seem to take on Olaena or necessarily play down his side. So, again, sometimes stats have to be contextualized. However, looking at this, it would look as though Pedro Porro and Jed Spence are actually performing well. However, defensive actions, the amount of defensive actions is intensified at Tottenham because of their system. Their system is absolutely garbage and invite a lot of pressure onto them. And therefore, they're having to be a lot more busy than, say, our fullbacks or Nottingham Forest. Defensive duels, again, Gavorno Reed is doing really well there in terms of percentage. Olaena, again, pretty low. Trent's low as well. Aerial, Trent is struggling there. He's pretty much losing everything aerially. Jed Spence is winning a lot aerially, and so is Olaena. When you're looking at Pedro Porro and Trent, they're very identical in terms of stats. It's just, you'd almost say that Pedro Porro is a worse version of Trent. Progressive carries, Jed Spence, again, once he gets going, he's very hard to stop, and that's a very good metric there. Olaena, the same. Once they get into a stride, it's very difficult. They're both strong, quick players. Trent doesn't usually run with the ball like that. If he does, sometimes through the center of the pitch, but often it's his passing that kind of splits teams open, and Pedro Porro will sometimes try and knock it down the line as well. When I look at these stats, though, for me, it almost makes me want to push further with getting a Jed Spence or Olaena, like, because you just see how good they are defensively. Big up to Alexander M. Olaena is really good, but I don't think Forest will sell him. But the beauty of Olaena's situation, bro, is he's out of contract. He's out of contract, so you can literally grab him on a free. So if you do lose Trent on a free, you can replace Trent on a free as well. Big up to Uncle Rods in the building. Go and subscribe to Uncle Rods' channel. Doing great things on his channel. Big up to Uncle Rods. HR Spence is going to be expensive. I hear it, but look, you know, I've been told we ain't spent for years, so, you know, go and make that, go and spend that money, go and get that money. Like, if he's the player who we should be going for, he's a player we should go with. All right, shout out to Marcel. Forest have an option to activate a 1-year option. That's annoying. I didn't know that. That's bloody annoying. They'll definitely extend his contract then. That's annoying. I mean, if that's the case, then you know what to do. You're going to have to splash the money for Jed Spence, or you splash the money for Olaena. If he's got a year left on his contract with Forest to accept 20 mil, I think Olaena would bite your hand off to play for Liverpool personally. So Palsy, the strikes again, the curse strikes again, brother. No one knew apart from a couple of people in the chat about his contract. I've been speaking about Olaena for a while. No one ever said to me, "Oh no, Forest have got a year activation clause there." You lot do me dirty, man. You lot do me dirty. Shout out to Tactical Galactico. Kubo to Liverpool. Any links? He looks frustrated at Sociedad. Looks like the perfect as a 10 and a future right winger. No stats from what I've seen. Sorry, no stats, no stories from what I've seen or anything like that. So I don't expect us to move for Kubo. Look, I think Kubo is really good. I just don't know if he physically can handle the Premier League. And I'm not saying that because of his stature. I just don't know if he's that guy to physically carry that burden in the Premier League. But technical ability is fantastic. Really, really good footballer. But guys, let me know. Look, obviously we've done a little breakdown there regarding the different right backs. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions, and just in terms of, do we go for a more defensive right back? Do we go for someone who can replicate Trent's numbers? Because that, you're looking at someone like a Pedro Porro there. If I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't want Pedro Porro at Liverpool. I think for years now, I've compromised with the whole Trent at right back because he's not great defensively, but because his output going forward is so good, you can compromise. I'm not willing to compromise if Trent goes. Like, I'm not going to compromise on one thing and then lose that thing, which was a unicorn, and then go and spend a lot of money to get a worse version of a compromise. Okay. No. Let's take a moment. Marcel, the beard is coming along, Cal. Let's take a moment, people. I'm only going to give just 10 seconds. Just 10 seconds. See that? Yeah. That's your 10 seconds, people. Yeah. Big up Marcel. I'm glad people are starting to see that promise. Don't do that, Palsy. There's always one hater. I'm gonna call it out. There's always two haters. Two haters. Oh, three haters. Wow. Misery does love company, innit? Misery does love company. Big up Uncle Rods. Thank you. That is me, bro. That's me. I told you. I'm mixing oils now. Look, do you know what? Haters are gonna hate, innit? I'm not gonna lower myself to the haters standards. For all you guys that rate the beard, I appreciate you guys. And we'll stand united together against the haters. You can't bring me down. Let me give you another 5 seconds. Let me turn off the camera and I'll switch the camera back on so you can see even clearer. Boom. You guys ready, yeah? Let me catch it in the light. Yeah, I gave you more than 5 seconds. But no, people, smash that like button if you haven't subscribed, if you're new to the channel. Right, let's speak about one of our own players now, and that is Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez has been out since we played against Plymouth. Unfortunately, we've barely seen the defender this season, which is a real shame. Because I'll go as far as saying, had Joe Gomez been available a bit more this season, I'll be honest, if we had Joe Gomez for the Plymouth game, for the whole Plymouth game, I do actually think we go through in that game. How far we go in the competition, I don't know. But even the time when Trent was out in the cup final, for example, Gomez playing right back instead of Kwanzaa playing right back, I think would have given us a massive advantage and would have helped us in that game as well. So we have missed Joe Gomez. I personally think last season Joe Gomez was overall our second best defender, maybe behind Konate. No, sorry, behind Virgil. So what am I talking about? Konate didn't have a great season last season. It was good, but not great. I thought he was our second best defender. You remember Joe Gomez went left back and was awesome left back. Played right back a few times and also played centre back, was really good. I remember the Newcastle game when he came off the bench. I believe that was last season when he came off the bench because Virgil got sent off. And did he start that game actually? Either way, him and Kwanzaa played at the back for a large portion of that game, and he was absolutely outstanding. What I'm basically saying, Joe Gomez had a fantastic season last season. DM as well. Big up yourself, Liam. He played DM as well. So Joe Gomez was worth his weight in gold last season, and his versatility. I know there's a lot of rumors going around that he'll be leaving in the summer. I personally think he'll stay, given that he has been injured a lot, and I don't know if any teams will take the chance. And he's still got a few years left on his contract. And as I said, I think he's worth his weight in gold in terms of versatility. We've been very lucky along the years having someone like a Milner who was like a jack of all trades and also a master in some of those trades as well. I don't think we'll see another Milner, but what I think we will see going forward is Mr. Battered, homegrown, HG out here, facts. I think we'll see a situation where we have one defender who can play across the whole back four. That would be Joe Gomez. One midfielder who can do all three positions, pause, as in 6, 8, and 10 potentially. That could potentially be Jones. And then one attacker who can play across the front three, who, in my opinion, that's currently Luis Diaz. So I think we will see a player like that in each area of the pitch, which I think makes perfect sense, in my opinion. And Gomez is that person. Right, so I will find the quotes for Gomez. So Arne Slot in his press conference says, he's still not training with us yet. He's I'll pause this before I start. He's coming closer and closer to getting back to the team. I think he will be available for the last 1, 2, or 3 games. Look, I'll be over the moon if Joe Gomez gets to play some games, gets to play some minutes before the end of the season. I know a lot of you would be happy seeing Joe Gomez as the backup right back if Bradley were to be the first choice. I wouldn't be happy at that, only because I think both players are very injury prone. And I think it means Kwanzaa would be having to take along that burden, or maybe even Curtis Jones, or if you're Monts or one of the other crazy people like Hassam, you'd want Szoboszlai playing right back. Yeah, I don't know, man. So me personally, I would keep Joe Gomez. Let me know what you guys think. Would you keep Joe Gomez or would you sell Joe Gomez? I'm going to speak about the defensive situation in more detail with the guys that's in Tom Hassam with the guys later. So yeah, we'll see about that. Big up to yourself, Josh. Cal, your take on having Olaina is terrible. Oh, don't mince your words, Josh, bro. No, I'm joking. Big up, Josh. You picked a 1v1 defender who plays in a low block. We want a complete football, and Olaina can't invert, and I don't trust him in the final third. Fair points. What I will say to that is, though, whether you're playing in a low block or a high line, 1v1 defending is 1v1 defending. It's still stopping the man from getting past you, and he does that better than most players do. In terms of wanting a complete football, I'd arguably say Trent isn't a complete footballer, because his defensive capabilities are far below his attacking capabilities. So I'd argue the other way and say Trent isn't a complete footballer or a complete right back, because defensively he can be found wanting quite a lot. And then in terms of inverting, I don't really care for my right back or left back to invert, if I'm going to be honest. Actually, I'm not a fan of it, because I think it draws Ibu over to cover that side, which then draws Virgil over and then draws over the left back. And then you've got a slight imbalance in the team there, and it's easier to play down our flanks. And in the final third, I actually do trust him in the final third. I just don't think he'll be a player who spams the balling a lot. So I hear what you're saying, Josh, and I don't think you're wrong. I don't fully agree with it. I think having the balance between two players, one being more attack-minded, one being more defensive-minded, I think could be brilliant for us. Let's just think about games where we want to shut up shop, or games where, we want to play a bit more defensive because we're going away to a City or an Arsenal. I think Olaine would be perfect for that. All right, Troy, what are you saying? Still has been linked, yeah? Okay. Okay. Josh, also, I found out today because of the chat, Nottingham Forest have got a year option extension for his contract. So yeah, we'll see on that one. But yeah, let me know in the comments, people. Would you keep Joe Gomez or would you sell him? Now on to our current number 9. That is Darwin Nunez, the forward. Recently, rumors have come out that we're not playing him because if we play him again for the season, or if we start him again for another game, that we'll have to give Benfica another 5 million. Arne Slot's spoken about this, kind of said that's new information for him. I'll actually read the actual quote. The quote reads, "Sometimes it's better not to believe everything. The last thing Richard Hughes would do is tell you play him, it will cost this much. I don't know if it's true. He'd never intervene on team selection." That puts to bed a lot of things, in my opinion. I genuinely don't think Darwin is playing because I don't think Slot rates Darwin. Darwin's attitude this season has been very up and down, which is very unlike him. He is a human though, so I can understand some of his frustrations. But ultimately, Darwin's not playing because Slot doesn't believe Darwin's good enough to play for Liverpool on a regular basis, which I think is echoed through some of the fan base as well. I do think there's been times in the season where Nunez should have got more of a chance. Same as I think with Elliott, same as I think with Chiesa. I think Jota has been really poor this season. I think the fact that Jota was started ahead of Nunez a lot of the time for me was really unfair. I think I think Slot has mistreated him there. However, there's been times where he has played and he's not looked interested, which is the last thing you should be doing as a Liverpool player. And then there's games like the Villa game where he comes off the bench, he gets a really easy chance to score and he skies it. But on the flip side, there's also been games like the Brentford game where he comes off the bench, scores a brace, and we get 3 points, which was a massive 3 points at the time. I know people would downplay it potentially and go, oh, well, this, that, and the other. When we beat Brentford 2-0 and he got the brace and he got the 2 goals in that game and won us the game, that was a massive moment in the season. So say what you want about Nunez. He's contributed this season, just like Jota has. They just haven't contributed enough. And I think that's what the issue is. Plus, yeah, shout out to Rosa. He's regressed this season. He's regressed since he's been at Liverpool. His first season, crazy enough, was his best season at Liverpool. And that's not good enough. So, yeah, we're going to have to move him on. But I think it's positive to hear from Slot that Richard Hughes doesn't get involved in team selection, which has, let's be real, it's not just the Richard Hughes thing. This has been a running narrative for a while now. When Klopp used to play big players or first team players in dead rubber matches in the Champions League, people would come up with the notion that FSG are making Klopp play these players because they want to get the extra money for Champions League revenue. That was never the case. Klopp just wanted to play who wanted to play. And Klopp even spoke about this. He said he wouldn't want fans who come to Anfield to feel shortchanged by not seeing certain players. So I think that puts to bed the notion that FSG or anyone above the manager is telling them who they should and shouldn't play based on revenue and all that stuff as well. So yeah, people, please do smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We'll be back live with Tom and Hassam at 1 p.m. UK time. So that's about less than 2 hours from now. So make sure you're there for that. And people, look, this could be the last morning meetup show as champions elect. And Monday could be the first show where we are the undisputed, reigning Premier League champions. Oh, that feels sweet to say, people. That feels sweet. Shout out to the one and only John Conway, hashtag 20. Big up Callum, big up yourself, John, as always. Member for 55 months. That's incredible. People, if you're not a member as well, make sure you do join the members portion of our channel. You get exclusive content, and especially in the off season, you're going to get way more content as well. Special guests as well will start appearing on members videos, so make sure you activate that member subscription if you haven't already. Hi. I'm not going to bring Alonso on camera because if she comes in here, then it's going to be chaos. Last time she came in here, she almost broke my microphone. Yeah, people, it's been a pleasure as always. Do smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. See you in less than 2 hours with Tom and Hassam. Till I see you later. Stay safe, stay blessed. We're Kopish and Route, people. Take care. Oh, not that one. Not that one. Little hiccup.